Hello, all you positive heads out there. It's so good to be back with all you beautiful reflections of the one source consciousness that creates and animates all things. If you're new to this podcast, of course, we are super happy to have you here, and we just ask that you bring an open mind and heart to your listening experience and to be prepared to explore vantage points that I'm convinced will help shift or solidify your current understanding of the ultimate nature of reality in a way that is extremely empowering. Speaking of exploring powerful perspectives, I would like to gift my book, The Golden Key, Modern Alchemy to Unlock Infinite Abundance to you at goldenkey.gift, where you can get the audio or ebook as my gift to you by using the code POSITIVEHEAD at checkout. All right, all you positive heads, welcome, welcome. Here we grow again. It is a fantastic Friday. I didn't say fantabulous this time. I just got to keep you on your toes. Here in the studio as I record, and it's extra fantastic. Maybe it is fantabulous because I have a very special guest here today, and this is something we've been talking about doing for a minute. The lovely Sarah Rusk, who is responsible for getting these podcasts to your ears for many years now, handles editing and releasing every 5 days a week for years, bringing the show to you, is here with me. And on the other side of on this side of the microphone with me, hello, Sarah, welcome.
Hey there, Brandon. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you here. And, guys, you're in for such a treat. I already know without Sarah saying hardly anything. She is such a light, has been such an angel to the show. She actually started as a listener of the show, and I was needing someone to help with putting the episodes out. Dalian, if you remember way back, used to help with it the first few years, and he wasn't able to do it anymore. And Sarah just stepped up, so willing to just serve and help and get our message out to the world, get these vibrations to your ears. And she's just always been, Sarah, my partner always laughs because if you send a audio message, of course, guys, we communicate back and forth about this, that, or the other, when necessary. She's on the East Coast, I'm on the West Coast, but whenever I get an audio message from Sarah, I always will play it. If I play it, my partner Karen is there. She's always comments about she is the sweetest, happiest, most positive human ever. And so it's so true. And so, I maybe you can just share a little bit with the listeners why we're bringing you on, what kind of you've been going through, and that you're here to share today.
Oh my goodness. Absolutely, Brandon. Like I kind of had said a little bit before we started, my life has literally turned into a sci-fi fantasy novel all of a sudden out of nowhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I'm listening to that. I am feeling slightly jealous because although I did communicate with aliens recently, so I guess I'm hanging with you to some degree.
Seriously. We'll have to compare supernatural stories. It's so funny because I'm just your typical girl next door who, I live in New Jersey and I'm just this little ball of light. And I started off not being a ball of light. It's been a journey. I'm going to be 30 in a month. And
wow.
I'm very thankful that through everything that I've gone through where I am right now.
Hold on, what is your birthday?
And July 23rd.
Oh, no wonder. You're in my family birthday week. I never realized that. My brother's the 19th, my mom's the 24th, ex-partner's the 25th, me and my dad, of course, the 28th. Everyone's heard that. So, okay, you're in the fam birthday week. All right.
I took the 23rd spot. That's my spot. Thank you very much.
You're there's an opening. I'll take it.
Absolutely. But so just to kind of go back on my journey with Positive Head, so growing up, I guess I'll start from the kind of beginning. Growing up, I had a very challenging childhood. My dad was quite abusive to me. He preferred alcohol over being able to communicate with his family, and being
Mm.
told constantly that I just was worthless, I would never amount to anything, and just would never make it
Wow.
with very much
Wow.
like just. And I held on to that. I didn't have very many friends. No one knew how
Mm.
to work with me, and I didn't know how to communicate. I never learned
Yeah.
that as a kid. You know,
Wow.
so constantly beating myself up over things, and not gonna lie, I just had issues with men and just people and just not being able to get out of it, and any father figure, like I couldn't. It
Yeah.
just I shut
Right.
down.
Sure. It makes sense that you would like to have that sort of trauma. It's one thing to have someone who's detached and
Yeah.
going through their own challenges, and it's another thing when they're turning it on you, right? And like
Yeah.
that whole narrative of the parent who's telling the child how worthless they are, it's so
Yeah.
foreign to me. And I just have to think, wow, he must have been in such immense pain and
Yes.
so disconnected and unaware in order to be
a
able to
hundred
do that.
percent.
And I think of how incredibly sweet you are. It's like, how does one find it in themselves to tell Sarah how, these things? Like, it's just like mind blown.
Yeah, nobody would ever guess. If you saw me in like my everyday real life, no one would ever know the trauma and the muck that I've had to grow through in order to bloom into this being of inspiration. And I have
Whew.
since made it my life's mission to become just that being of inspiration. So he has since passed. He actually passed of a heart attack the day I was going to a horse show, and the cops were like, telling me, "Hey, like you should be a little bit more upset." And I'm like, "My horse is in the trailer. I gotta go. Like, I'm sorry
Wow.
he made bad life choices, but like, I have to be somewhere else right now."
Wow.
And the cleanup that I've had to do mentally has just been, nuts. So, anyway, I've since kind of been able to work through and heal through that trauma. And just, I understand he was a man that was hurting and could not go to his family for help. And that's not my problem. That's not my fault. And I feel bad that he wasn't able to do that. But he's given me a great gift in the process. I have turned, as you say, Brandon, my troubles into treasures.
Yeah, exactly. No mud, no
So,
lotus, right? He's
no,
it
hey,
was
I've
it
got
was
my lotus is right here. I've got it
yeah.
tattooed on my arm specifically for that.
Oh, wow. Perfect.
So, fast forward a little bit, going through a bunch of different jobs, I always knew that I would never work a conventional 9 to 5. I've always been involved with horses. They've helped me to heal. Even though I am a horse person, I don't associate myself as a horse person. I'm just a
Mm.
person who just works with horses.
Got
Um,
it. You don't like being put into a box.
no.
That's me too. It's like whatever you do, don't you put me in any particular box. Like,
No.
please. Yeah.
No. No, I prefer a dodecahedron over like a square
Yeah.
box any day.
I'm
So,
with I'm with you. We'll merkaba out of it here.
yes. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. So, at one point, one of my jobs was to be a pooper scooper. I was picking up dog poop for a living. And I loved it because I was by myself. I was out in nature and I was able to listen to music and podcasts. And
Mm,
I had hit a very low moment in my life. And I remember just typing positive. And then
mm.
Positive Head podcast came in. And then I, from then on, was just a dedicated listener. And I think this had to have been circa 2015, I
That's
believe,
right
or
when
a
we
little bit
started. Yeah,
earlier.
that's early.
Yeah.
50,
Yeah.
15 was
I,
what we started May 5th, May 2015 is episode 1 if anyone wants to go back into the archives, which you can go all the way back. Well, actually, I think you can on all like Apple and everything. For a while you couldn't, but definitely on
oh,
positivehead.com you can. So, yeah.
absolutely. Yeah. And you've done a good job with that site too. I absolutely love the way that it looks. So totally go check out positivehead.com.
Mm.
Not sponsored.
Yeah, we just did a little we did a little update.
Yeah, it looks awesome. So I've just been listening to your words for a very, very, very long time. And when I had the opportunity to be able to communicate with you and to possibly work for Positive Head, I 100% jumped on that opportunity. And it's incredible now, years later, thinking that I could be here right now sharing my story because of something that
Mm-hmm.
you did as a labor of love, and then being able to
Mm.
contribute as a labor of love and have it kind of come full circle. Like it's so beautiful when you think about it.
It really is. It really is. It's like it's that good kind of selfish I talk about, It's like I'm doing it because I get the benefit of of hearing stories like yours, and I know that the
Yeah.
energetic repercussions. It's like the same thing with you putting all of your talent and energy and the incredible amount of dedication to help me get these episodes to the world. Like you're energetically tied to all those episodes that went out and
Yeah.
all the repercussions of all the other Sarahs out there who benefited. Like you're like, I'll take some of the energetic
Yeah.
repercussions of that. Thank you very much. And it's such a
Yeah.
beautiful thing.
It is, and I do have to say too, for years, I was like, "When is it gonna be my turn? When am I gonna stop being dragged through the mud because all this crap keeps happening to me? When is my
Yeah.
life going to turn around, and when is that pivotal moment going to be?" I have been called painfully optimistic before because I'm
Hmm.
just always like, "There's something good coming out on the other side of this. I know that it's gonna be for my higher good." The way that you are in situations will always come back, and
Yeah.
kind of one of the reasons why I'm here is because I have been doing Dr. Joe Dispenza events.
Mm. Yeah. Who's amazing. If you haven't checked out Dr. Joe, anyone out there,
Yes.
Dr. Joe is amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah. When we were doing the retreats here at the Mystic Manor, uh, my dear friend Kim, who works, I don't know if you've ever met her yet, going to the Dr. Joe
I
stuff.
had a
Um,
conversation on the phone once, but I haven't
that's
seen
right.
her in person yet.
Yeah, she's amazing. She works with Dr. Joe, and she would do the full Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself workshop, a day of that here as one of the days for retreat guests.
Wow.
So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, the 7-day retreats are a beast in themselves.
yeah. I can
Like
imagine.
it was incredible. It was New Year's Eve last year. I had one of the worst New Year's Eves of my life because I felt so alone and just so worthless, and I didn't like myself. I physically, mentally, emotionally didn't like myself, didn't like where I was. And I remember somehow stumbling upon his website, and I bought
Hmm.
the intensive and progressive retreats. They have the
Hmm.
audio the excuse me, the video version of it, and I just went all in. And I did it, and I
Mm.
did, the blessing of the energy centers, pulling the mind out of the body. And it's funny because he says, "Let the divine surprise you and come in a way that's right for you." I love
Hmm.
coffee, specifically Dunkin'
Mm.
Donuts coffee. And I
Oh
have a
wow.
log where I kept track of how many times people would bring me or buy me coffee within a month.
Hmm.
And it's quite disgusting how much caffeine I consumed within those months.
That's
So I
hilarious.
knew something was
That's hilarious.
working. Something was working.
Mm.
So I lost a lot of weight last year. I was just doing so well, so good. Monetarily, things were fantastic. And I'm like, this is amazing. I'm feeling so good. And so January of this year, I decided to go to Marco Island for his week long. It's my first week long. I had an idea of wanting to quit a couple of jobs that I was doing. Like I literally work like 7 jobs. Not this is a
Wow.
part of this is at the end of the day, this
Wow.
is what I do. Like I've got photography business, art business. I was working at 2 different barns. I dog sit. I teach lessons, so many different things.
Wow.
Yeah.
You
This goes on
remind
and
me
on and
of
on.
me.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I'm in the family, Brandon, of course.
Hmm. Yep.
But
I get it.
I knew I was meant to do something bigger. I started a YouTube channel last year where I wanted to talk about my moments and stuff. Actually, it started with a podcast back in 2019. I have Hey There Friend as a podcast because you, of course, inspired me to want to do that.
Mm.
Um, so I since changed it into a YouTube format, and I was like, let's see what we can do with this. I wanted a goal of 50 subscribers by June 21st, which was,
Mm.
a couple of days ago.
Mhm.
So I did Marco Island with the intent of wanting abundance. And
Mhm.
I came out of Marco Island losing everything. My
Mm.
life completely imploded on itself.
Wow.
Completely. Yeah,
And
completely
when was
imploded.
the Marco Island retreat?
Oh, it was the 9th of January through the 15th, I believe.
So this is not very long ago.
No,
This
this
is like
6 months
6
ago.
months ago. Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I had a situation at my main job where I felt that things energetically were not good anymore. I felt it in my heart. My heart kept shutting down, and I knew that I needed to make changes, and I knew I needed to leave. It had gotten super toxic super fast. And it's the way that, of course, I interpreted it all. But
Mhm.
this is the way the universe was saying, you need to make a change.
Yeah.
So I quit the one job. I managed to move my other job, and I moved my horse a little bit closer to my house because my horse was at the other job. And I had a couple of months where I just didn't know what was going to happen and what was going to
Mm,
happen next. And I felt just, I knew I couldn't get a 9 to 5. I needed to do this. And so I pushed further with YouTube, and I have been working with the community, and people have been finding me, and they're like, wow, you're such an inspirational person. Like, we love hearing your stories. You keep inspiring us to do all these things. And I then decided to do it full steam ahead. And
cool.
then San Diego came, and I got the opportunity to go to your coast. I love California. I'm so envious of how
Mm,
beautiful it is over there.
mm,
And it helped to build and put my life back together.
yeah. So that
So,
was the next retreat, Dr. Joe retreat that you went to, was in San Diego.
yes. Yep.
Yeah.
It was
Yep.
amazing.
Yeah. Wow. So do you have some insights as to what you learned from? I mean, that's a lot of Dr. Joe. Um,
Yeah.
to what is it, like 2 weeks worth, right? Of
Yeah.
full retreat. So do you have some takeaways that you care to share and kind of break down for us?
100%. 100%. The answer to everything in life is coherence.
Mm,
It's coherence, and it's also how quickly you get out of responding to a
mm-hmm.
situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's so key.
Yeah,
But
there's a great synchronicity here because you literally were saying that before we started recording, and I left a conversation, a 30-minute conversation with my partner about how we can catch the triggers of the way we respond and mirror. Because what I find is she will respond in a way that you know we when we see in someone else the things that we don't like in ourselves that we need to work on. It's like our own,
mm, yep.
it's our own pain point reflecting back to us externally in a sense. So she'll behave
Yeah.
sometimes her responses remind me of me, like, talking over someone or cutting, agitatedly, like uh feeling like I already know what you're going to say and let me cut you off so I can save time and that like
Yeah.
get to the end. Like and
Yeah.
it creates like irritation and agitation, and it's something that I've had to work so hard on. And then she's obviously so closely entangled and similar in her, you know, it's me reflecting me back to me. And so we had a little bit of a thing this morning that happened, and it's like something, went off, not completely off the rails, but it's like, okay, how do we catch this and dissect this? And it was really all about my conversation leading up to this conversation. How do we catch and diffuse, all, uh, all of that from happening? And so it's really funny as soon as you kind of said, oh yeah, that's one of the main things um, I want to talk about. And I'm like, of course it is. So maybe you
Yeah.
can just explain, like, how quickly can we stop ourselves from falling into old reactive patterns that aren't serving us or the situation or anyone involved. When you say coherence, what you mean?
Absolutely. So, one of the most important things and the most amazing things, and I know so many people are going to be like, "Oh, seriously," is to meditate. Meditation
I
is
said that
so
this morning too.
important. Yes.
I need to meditate more so I can chill out. I literally said that.
Dude, I went from meditating for like maybe like I'd set a timer for a minute and just sit in front of like my crystals and be like, okay, we can focus too. I meditate for almost 5 hours a day. And
What?
I'm not,
Wow.
yeah, and I'm not that kind of person. I'm a night owl because I get, because of the time difference, I get the episodes sometimes close to like 9, 10 o'clock at night. And I
Yeah.
do most of my productive work late at night. That's just who I am. I've been getting up at 4:44 every single morning for the past week and have been going like sometimes 3 hours of sleep. And I'm like, I'm ready to go. Like, let's go. I meditate for
Wow.
2 hours in the morning and I feel it. And I feel like I am plugged into a socket. And I
Wow.
feel the energy and the vibration around me. And Brandon, like, you reached out to me. We made this whole thing work out this week, and I started doing this meditation this week. Like, I today is the first day of my life. This is day one of this
Mm.
brand new life that I've created for myself, you know?
Wow. Wow. And
Yeah.
no wonder you're here getting to share it with all the people that you've been impacting for all these years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly. Again, that whole full circle thing, Brandon, it comes full circle. What you put out for years will eventually find its way
Mm-hmm.
back to you, you know? So,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
to that, with that too, being able to be comfortable in the unknown, because if you know how things are going to happen and how things are going to play out, you can't be surprised. And we go into high beta all the time and we think that we can predict the outcomes, and when we predict it, we don't leave room for this or
Mm,
better. Nothing is
mm,
worse than getting what you want. I've seen that so
mm.
many times,
Jeez,
you know.
that's a powerful statement.
Oh my gosh, it's so true.
High beta, huh? I definitely have been guilty of that. Like thinking, it's such a perfect conversation for today. It's so hilarious. It's like
It always
you
is.
don't need to predict. Literally, a big part of that conversation with Karen was, yeah, but uh, you know, you're starting to go down a path and you can say 3 words and I already know what you're about to say, but it's going to take 60 seconds and I want to just stop it. And I'm like, and then you want to continue talking. And even though I already know, and then I'm irritated and then you were irritated because my irritation and she's like, yeah, but you don't always know. Sometimes and then and it's like, oh man. So it's funny.
Karen, I hope one day if this happens, please say the word banana. Just as it's getting heated, just say banana because you'll surprise Brandon.
Banana. Oh, that's good because we literally talked about what can we do to pattern interrupt. I mean, this is
Yep.
hilarious. Like, and she said, "How about we start using the word pause?" Like, what she came up with is, can I'm gonna one of us
Yeah.
says pause, and then that person can say either, you know, when they're ready, let me continue, or please, you can now go ahead and continue. I like banana
Yeah.
better. It's more. It's banana. It is. I mean, I literally took a note of like what because I was like, oh, maybe if I say, can I kindly interrupt? You know, she didn't love that, but I thought
Oh.
it was kind. You know, and
Yeah.
so I'm literally looking at notes here from our conversation about how do we
I love
work
this.
through this. Banana is smarter than any of these ideas. Like, it's done. Banana it is. I'm adding banana to my notes real nice.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that. It adds shock
yeah.
value because it catches you off guard and you have to process it for a second, and it completely interrupts those patterns and those brainwaves. And just the
Mm,
energy that we emit throughout, like if you predict something, if you say, I know what you're going to say, you leave no room for the divine to come in and surprise you with the word
mhm,
banana.
mhm, mhm, mhm. What a trip. Well, wow. So you've been practicing meditation. You've been downloading Dr. Joe's incredible wisdom and magic, and integrated it into your being, and it's transforming things. It sounds like a lot.
Oh
You had
yes.
mentioned your life being more like a sci-fi novel. Do you care to share you know, some of your experiences that have come from all this?
100%. One of the things that we do when we are in the week-long retreats is we learn coherence healings. And I actually at 1 o'clock, excuse me, 12 o'clock my time, just came out of I was a healee for the coherence
Mm,
healings. And I had thought for the longest time something I've been working through is not needing to take things away from others. I will give. I literally have a sick work ethic where I work myself until I am sick. I will
mm,
always put my best foot forward no matter what, and it's the
mm,
perfectionist in me. And you
mm-hmm,
can say that's because of my dad and needing to be perfect and making sure that I didn't get hurt or hit or yelled at for so long.
mm, mm-hmm,
It's who I am. I'm a hard worker. So I felt guilty for wanting to sign up for a coherence healing because I've been having a hard time feeling love lately. I've been feeling like my heart energy center just being so blocked and so, closed down. So I figured why not? And it was a
mm-hmm,
beautiful session and I felt the energy of all the amazing people. And it's really funny because we did it all through Zoom. And all they did was they just connected to their heart center and just the energy was amazing. I felt it go from my toes all the way up to my head. So in Marco Island, I had what they call the freight train effect. We were
Mm,
doing pulling the mind out of the body, where we literally take our life force energy at the base of our spine, our pineal glands, and we pull it up through breathing up to hit our pineal gland. And
mhm,
Dr. Joe says that when it happens, be prepared. And when he's telling you to relax in these meditations, it's not some like airy fairy, like, oh, unicorns and rainbows and mermaids. It's because shit's about to get real. Like
mm.
when I had that freight train effect, I felt every single cell in my body. It felt like somebody lit a firecracker at my feet. It was going, it was buzzing. And then all of a
Wow.
sudden I went into paralysis. I felt my face start to get really numb and my arms got really numb. And I actually had to drop to the floor because I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I was having a panic attack, but it was part of my biological upgrade and it was insane.
Wow. Wow. And what was this
Yeah.
process called, you said?
Pulling the mind out of the body, pulling the mind out of the body. Yep, you use your breath to pull the life force energy out. And whenever I need to
Mhm.
tune in or tap into that life force energy, like I just have to take a couple of breaths and I feel like I'm magnetized. In San Diego, we were actually deactivating our hotel room keys because we produced so much energy in that room. Like it was
Wow.
crazy. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, Another thing that had happened in Marco Island too is I had an out of body experience, which I
Wow.
don't know if I would recommend that ride because it was kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
Wow. I know Kim, who works with Dr. Joe, I mentioned earlier. She had a crazy experience doing one of the techniques in a Dr. Joe retreat originally when she first started going. And in her case, it was like
yeah.
merging with the universe completely. I remember her sharing the
Oh,
story. So what was, so w- do you care to share what happened with the out of body thing?
absolutely. So there's a meditation called the Body Electric that we did on the last day. And it's the lying down meditation and it requires quite a bit of breathing. We were up I think at like 4:30 in the morning to be in the room by 5. And we were going through the motions and stuff like that, and it feels like your body got plugged into a socket and you're just buzzing and just electrified. And towards the very end, I started to get a little lazy because it was the last day, and I was like, oh, okay, it's the lying down meditation. I've been getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning for the past week. I can take it easy on this one. So totally nonchalant, and when you are nonchalant, that tends to be when everything comes to. If you try too hard, it doesn't work.
Yep.
And
Right.
I also was getting what they call the Dispenza influenza, which was I was starting to get sick and I felt like I was
Mm,
starting to, just start to get a little achy. And
hmm
I stretched back because my body started to anticipate what Dr. Joe was saying. I developed something called a wiggle during my freight train experience with the pulling the mind out of the body. I wiggle when I meditate, and I've
mm,
discovered I'm actually building up a
mm,
force field around my body. It's really cool.
mm.
Very interesting
I've
to
noticed
watch.
I do that. I do that too sometimes when I meditate. I'll want to start like swaying kind of thing.
Yes. You're
Yeah.
building up an energetic force field. It's really
Mm,
cool.
mm,
So I was lying down and I was anticipating Dr. Joe bringing us back, and I stretched myself back. And then all of a sudden, I heard a popping sound and I screamed. And then the next thing I know, I am popped out of my body and I'm flying around the room and I'm like, Dr. Joe, put me back in my body. I don't like this. Dr. Joe, put me back. And I was tethered by my right foot. Like I felt a
wow.
connection to my right leg. And then all of a sudden I slammed right
Wow.
back down again and I shot up and I looked at the people next to me. I was like, did you hear me scream? Did you see something happen? And they're like, you twitched like 2 seconds ago, but like, no, you didn't do anything. It was so weird.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Wow. That's a trip. Yeah, my brother's had some out of body experiences and it's similar. He's like he wasn't seeking it and then it's happened,
Yes.
a few times to him and
Yep.
he's like you know, I want to go back. So, but it's
Absolutely.
also very intriguing. Like what to feel comfortable in that state and then explore is I've read a lot of stuff about that. I haven't had the experience, but um, yeah, there's some pretty interesting accounts of what you can get into.
Absolutely. And one other thing I want to share about the coherence healings. I'm sorry, I kind of sidetracked from that.
Oh, all
Um,
good, all good.
One of the last things that we had done was the coherence healings where we sit around one person and we create like a cage around them with our energy. And the last one that I had done, my hands start to shake now and I was going all over the place and almost like being, I don't want to say the word possessed, but taken over by a different energy that wasn't mine. I had become a healer and the healer, and I can feel like the force field around, the person that I
Wow.
was healing, and it was incredible. The fact that this meat suit is able to do it. And like
Mm-hmm.
I said, I'm just your typical girl next door who loves horses. I'm no
Yeah.
one I didn't come from a lineage of psychics or anything. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was able to do this just through going through my journey.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. So, what for those who, you know, don't have 2 weeks and available to go and have this direct experience like you, I mean, what would you share as some of your biggest takeaways from all of the work you've been doing on yourself through Dr. Joe and elsewhere? But I mean, it sounds like that's really been like the biggest upgrades have come through these retreats. So, yeah, what feels helpful to share?
Absolutely. I love that question. I would say being able to stay relaxed and awake, as Dr. Joe says all the time. If something triggers you and you immediately want to react into it, being able to take a breath and kind of feel your heart beat back into rhythm. You had asked the question before about coherence. Coherence is when you've got a whole bunch of drummers drumming out of sync, and then all of a sudden they start to form their own cadence, and then the strongest drummer pulls them all into the same pattern and rhythm. And that's essentially what you're doing when you become coherent. And
Mm,
it's a matter of being able to not react to your situation, but
mm-hmm,
instead create a better
mm,
outcome by just being and not forcing
mm,
things matter to matter.
mm. Yeah, I love that. I read this on the podcast, I think last week, if I recall, but it really struck me. It's like when there's a sense of urgency tied to anything important in your life, slow down. Ask yourself, what would happen if I let go a little bit and let this unfold on a timeline out of my control? What is the rush? Is there a fear or a wound driving me? Am I operating out of fear or out of trust?
Yeah, exactly. And it's trusting yourself and it's trusting this divine that's there and showing up to the divine, not like a teenager who's just like, oh, do I have to do this? But instead being
Right.
like, hey, I'm here. Let's do this. Let's
Mm,
co create
mm,
together.
mm. Mm, I like that. I like that perspective. Like, don't be the angsty teenager about your work, and sometimes I definitely have those moments. Every so often, I'm just like, oh, I'm so sick of the work and the decision making and the growth and the like. And then I'll just want to be dramatically like over the top, like you know, uh, Karen always laughs how one time I was doing that. I had someone who came and was working with me as an assistant for a short period of time, and it didn't work out. She wasn't quite the right fit. Very sweet woman, and but I was in one of those moments. I was in one of those moments where I was just like, as my friend John always says, if I could only show them negative head, he's known me since I was 14, and it's like, the other Brandon, and when they're just like over the top, the other side for dramatic effect, and so this woman, I was irritated, and I was definitely not coherent, and and I was just like, I'm just ready for the long nap. I'm just ready, like I'm just ready to like, can we just pass already? So I'm just ready, and she had just started working with me, and Karen was there, and she's just like always laughed about it, 'cause she's like, just her face and her like, what is this? What is this? What's happening? Is he telling me he's committing suicide? Like, what's
Oh my
going on?
god.
Like, I'm ready for the long nap. I just want to sleep. But
Oh
yeah,
my gosh, I love
I
that.
definitely, yeah. This is where the work lies for us all to varying degrees. And yeah, what an inspiration, the journey that you're on. And is there content out there that maybe you would recommend? Well, one, I want you to tell people about your YouTube channel and how they can connect into your ongoing journey and wisdom as you continue to expand and share. And then also maybe any resources for Dr. Joe, as far as any of these guided meditations. I know some of that stuff's just out there, for people to access. If you have any
Sure.
any insight there.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you very much for that question too. I definitely would recommend going over to his oh my goodness, his website, drjoedispenza.com. That's where I started. That's where it begins. I would recommend getting the formula. It is a great course. It teaches you how to work with your energy, all about meditation, that you can meditate. Doesn't matter if you feel XYZ, you think you're too old, too fat, too this, too that. It does not matter. Everybody can meditate. And then I would
Mm-hmm.
110% recommend checking out the intensive and progressive courses. That is
Mm-hmm.
what is the catalyst that changed everything for me. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to go to a week-long event to have changes in your life. You can do it. I was able to do it. This just put me up to the next level. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to be doing the advanced follow-up in Marco Island again in
Cool.
August, and I'm so excited to hit that next level. He's got testimonials on his YouTube channel. And I also, if I were to recommend a meditation, and I don't say this as like, do not treat this as if it's like a scripture or a gospel, or like you experiment with different meditations. However, I would recommend starting off with the original blessing of the energy centers. That one
Mm.
is what really, because it brings you into coherence, because you are aligning and you are having every single energy center, aka chakra, lining up
Mm-hmm.
together and it's beating together
Mm.
coherently. So that's what I would recommend
Cool.
doing. And like I had said kind of before, my life fell apart and it was in the best way possible. I thank and send love to the people who have pushed me to this spot because so much growth has come out of it. And I have started my own YouTube channel called Hey There Friend. And I wanted 50 subscribers by the 21st of June. And I just hit 300 subscribers yesterday.
Oh, so
I
you
wanted 50.
6x'd it. Good for
Yeah.
you.
And
Well done.
the people who have come to me are the people who said that I thought I was alone. I thought that, I wanted more conversations. People don't understand what I'm going through. And I'm so happy that you're here and you're able to have this conversation. And I've been
Wow.
called infectiously inspiring, and people just get so excited to see my videos every single day. I think there was a couple of times where I didn't post a video because I just had gotten so tired, and people are sending me emails and they're like, hey, what happened? Are you okay? Like, are you coming back?
Wow.
Like,
Wow. Wow. I'm so excited
so
for you and so proud of you. What an
thank
incredible
you.
journey for you. How exciting this next chapter. Like, I just, you know, you've always been infectiously positive in my experience and just so lit up, and now that's overflowing, right?
Yeah.
So, and you are literally like the quintessential p head. You know, you if you've tuned in from the beginning. I mean, what's great about it is like if you can do it, being as stunted, because it's kind of like those sorts of experiences either just a lot of times they destroy people.
Yeah.
Having that, I can't imagine having had that working against me as a child. That's a lot to overcome. And
It
so you should be
is.
super proud of yourself, and therefore people that I've also had a similar experience, they're going to be able, you can relate to them in a way like I couldn't, right? And so
Yeah.
it's an incredible story, and definitely inspiring, and yeah, I'm just like super proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. And it's really funny, inadvertently throughout doing all this, I had no intention on doing this. I actually was able to heal and allow somebody to step in as a quote unquote father figure to me. Like
Mm,
I call him
mm.
Pops. I have hearts next to him on my phone. Like I
Aw.
literally I can't wait for he actually just got back from Disney. He's my barn manager at my other place. I've known him for
Mm,
years. But he
mhm.
like he saved me out of this situation that I was in, and he's like, you're like my daughter, like come back home. And I
Wow.
thought about Father's Day how I'm gonna make him a shirt that says "Show Dad" for when he takes me to
Aw.
horse shows because he's so excited
Aw.
about it. And I cried, and I'm getting the goosebumps thinking about it. Like I never thought I'd be able to accept somebody as that role again, and
Wow.
he has helped me with that. But yeah, that was not
Wow.
intentional.
Wow, I think that's a great thing to point out too. It's like anything that we lose, the universe can bring around in another form. Like, there
100%.
there's
Oh yeah.
infinite, whether it's a relationship, a parent figure.
Yes.
It's there's
Yes.
infinite ways it can fill. It's back to that limiting idea of you think there's only one father and only one path to having that experience. No,
Oh.
there's infinite paths to, I think of the Bjork song, All Is Full of Love.
Mm.
It's like it it will, I forget exact lyrics, but it's like, it may not come in the way that you expect, but all is full of love. It will find its way to you in a form and through an angle or direction you may not foresee.
Yes.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful song. So I recommend people
Let the
checking that
unknown
one out.
surprise you. Absolutely. Let the divine come through in a way that's the most, that's the right for you, in the least most expected way that you'll never know. Be open to that.
Yeah, and I think back of listening to some Dr. Joe stuff in the past, and it stuck with me, something that he says, and I'm sure you heard it a lot on your retreats, is like, let today bring something that totally surprises me, in the best kind of way. Set that intention. And I think that's a really powerful thing to do, to bring that thought, awareness, energy, intention into our days. It's so expansive, right?
100%. Yeah, it totally is.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, this has been incredible. You are an incredible inspiration. And
Thank you.
Yeah, guys, check out our YouTube channel. And yeah, you can you say one more time where you said?
Sure. Yeah. It's Hey There Friend on YouTube.
Hey There Friend. Hey There Friend.
Hey There Friend. I'm pretty much like the friend that I always wanted growing up, and people love how vulnerable and authentic I show up, and they just have that connection. So I've been getting great reviews. So please come join our amazing community. We're having a good time over there.
I always say, like, my name, Be a Chum, is like Be a Friend if you break it down. So I definitely get you. That's some fan birthday week stuff right there.
Absolutely.
So I asked you if you had a song that you cared to share that felt like one that would sum all this up in song, and you suggested an artist I'd never heard, and the song is amazing. You want to tell them what we're about to play?
Sure. I actually had a really fun synchronicity with this song. I asked for the name of my spirit guide. Her name's Cordelia. And the way in which she presented her name was through an LGBT dating app. And it cracks me up because I've never heard the name Cordelia before. And lo and behold, there was a Cordelia. And I was asking for a sign too. And I was scrolling through like her profile and stuff, and she had a song called Youniverse by the band Teebs. And I went and I looked up the song lyrics, and the chorus is slowing down the roller coaster, let's enjoy the ride. And I immediately started crying, and I was like, this was perfect.
Wow.
This was absolutely divine timing.
Wow. Such a perfect lyric for today's conversation here this morning. Like, wow, I'm inspired. Thank you, Sarah, for bringing the magic today. And
thank you for everything.
Oh, without you, we wouldn't be where we are. So all of you for tuning in. This is definitely a collaborative effort. And I just appreciate each and every one of you for being you. And Sarah, again, until next time, everyone, journey well. Also, before we cue up today's song, as a quick reminder, don't forget to download the Golden Key audio or ebook as my free gift to you at goldenkey.gift using the Golden Key code POSITIVEHEAD. And please, if you enjoy my gift, leave a positive review on Amazon so others can unlock their lives with the help of the Golden Key as well.
Dropped out, moved in, let them drive. Tried them all, they left me feeling empty in the end. Living in a dead-end life. Universe had something so much better on its mind. Driving on the ocean side. Flowing like the water when you stumbled in my life. Feels so good, it feels so right. Slowing down the roller coaster, let's enjoy the ride. Dropped out, moved in, let them drive. Tried them